Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today a video that has been requested for the longest time and I just never got around to making it, but so finally it is here. We're going to be talking about Road to the Labyrinth and what is going to be your easiest way to deal with this piece of content. It has been in game for quite a long time. Doesn't mean it's all that easy by today's standards even, especially if you're up and coming summoner. So first things first, there are three different kind of global nodes that you need to learn how to fight up against. And first one we're going to be taking a look at is spiked armor. And what spiked armor basically does is every time you land a crit on opponent, they have a chance to gain that green spiked armor buff. And then every consecutive time as you land your crits on opponent, you basically take damage back as if that was a taunt node. So first things first, it does interact with the critical hits and how often you crit and your crit rate and stuff like that. Second important thing, that is an actual buff on opponent, which will be relevant later. But the first and the kind of most straightforward method of dealing with spiked armor is just bring a regen champ. It's as simple as that. You're going to be taking some damage back. It's not that huge. You can just heal it with like Wolverine and quite a few other champions. So any regen champ is fairly decent for spiked armor. Also, ability accuracy reduction works wonders when it comes to spiked armor. So we're going to see with Archangel, we triggered one spiked armor buff, two spiked armor buffs. However, in the process, we got two neurotoxins on this Magneto. And now that's pretty much going to be it. We're not going to see it anymore. We're not going to take back any more interactive damage, and we are free to close out the fight. A quick side note, Archangel is one of the MVPs for pretty much all three of the global nodes. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Archangel will work really well in pretty much all of the quests. And yeah, so we can see here, fight's nearly over, didn't take long, and we didn't take any more fun and interactive damage from spiked armor aside from like the first couple of ones. And here we managed to trigger one more, but he's about to drop dead. And another way around it obviously is Crossbones. Crossbones also has ability accuracy reduction based on his fury meter. However, he never crits. Right? Because he never crits, opponent will never get a single piece of stack of spiked armor because they only activate on your critical hits. So this will also be the same case for Guillotine 2099 because I believe she can't crit either. And that is quite that simple. Another interactive way to deal with spiked armor is Namor, just because Namor can reflect all the damage you would take right back to the opponent. So you basically just benefit from that spiked armor being there. If anything at all, it simply enhances your damage output, and that's pretty much about it. There is not much else to say. Even a low-ranked Namor can do some really good damage with spiked armor in Road to the Labyrinth. Yeah, Road to the Labyrinth. One thing to note though is you do want your Namor to be max sig or close to it because you want to reflect that damage reliably. Unduped Namor will not work for this, however. While the Namor fight is going on, because who doesn't want to see Namor drop a couple of level 3s and what kind of damage 2k Namor can deal to 14k Black Bolt. Yes, so the format of this video is I'm going to be talking about the three global nodes you will know how to counter, and then I'm going to be going through all of the fights in each of the quests and kind of making a note of the more difficult ones and maybe giving some suggestions as to what are the good counters for the trickiest fights. But overall, it's not that bad. The quest strength level ideally is if you have maxed out 4 stars and rank 3 5 stars, you should be good to get through it pretty much with no items or hardly any items. There are several streams available on my channel where I do a full clear with 4-star champions and also a full clear with 3-star champions only. So you guys might want to look those up, and I will probably leave a link in the description, maybe. But here we can see that, yeah, Namor works pretty much perfect for spiked armor. We have taken no damage back whatsoever. Any damage we took was in fact from the blocked hits. And now Omega Red. Omega Red is another fantastic option when it comes to dealing with spiked armor node. And it is because Omega's tentacle hits basically can take no damage back from these spiked armor buffs, and that makes it quite an easy time for Omega. Plus you have the heal available should you mess up, but basically all your heavy attacks, all your medium attacks will take no damage back from spiked armor. And yeah, so as we can see here, we are safe to use our special attacks, our mediums. Now you do obviously need to think a bit, you need to alter your playstyle a bit, throw some less light hits, but you can still throw your light hits as well, because you're not going to be taking back that much damage for you not to be able to recuperate from that. But as we can see here, we did mess up. We were managing to heal up some before we finishing off the fight. But yeah, Omega Red definitely works even unduped against spiked armor, because those tentacle hit ability has nothing to do with his signature ability. Obviously you will be doing less damage, however Omega does not need to be duped in order to bypass spiked armor node. And now we will be taking a look at alternative versions, how to deal with spiked armor, and those are going to be, well, first of all, since I mentioned that spiked armor places buffs on opponent, that is a perfect food for plethora of Mystic champions, especially if these champions have any buffs on kind of generically whatsoever. So as we can see here, first level 1, 10 poison debuffs immediately into level 3. And Dr. Voodoo basically will be able to maintain 10, 16, 20, whatever number of poisons on opponent throughout the entire fight, so they drop super quickly. The one thing to kind of make sure is obviously Mystic Dispersion does help, because you will be able to cycle to your level 1s kind of quicker. But yeah, there's not much to it. Mystic champions like Dr. Voodoo, like some other ones, I believe I'll showcase Morningstar as well in this one, just work absolute wonders on spiked armor nodes. Now you will take some chip damage here and there, but your damage output is basically multiplied by a lot, just because of how frequently opponents will have buffs on them, and your Mystic Dispersion also pretty much go in overdrive. And another fantastic option for spiked armor nodes and for a lot of issues in a realm Road to the Labyrinth is Quake, just because Quake does not actually strike the opponent, therefore you do never crit on the opponent, therefore by extension you never have to worry about spiked armor buffs. And it's super easy to deal with Quake if you can play Quake, obviously. If you can't fully evade with Quake, you can always just go back to parry method. It's still perfectly viable, it works, you don't take that much damage in your block, and it's quite simple to do. It might not be your go-to strategy for every fight, just because it might take a bit longer, but it's definitely worthwhile kind of idea for the more tricky fights, the ones that might be giving you more trouble. Just use Quake, forget about spiked armor. And the last champion I'm going to showcase here for spiked armor is going to be Morningstar. Morningstar can do absolute wonders in spiked armor nodes as well, just because, yeah, they're buffs, and that level 2 deals a lot of damage, refreshes your Mystic Dispersion, and you're just basically going to be shooting level 3, dropping a combo or 2, and shooting off another level 2, thus dealing a lot of damage in the process, and finishing off these fights superbly quickly. This is a rank 3 5-star Morningstar. As we saw, we got to one level 2, one combo, another level 2, and the fight is over. And another option for spiked armor, forgot about that, I recorded footage for Blade as well, is Blade, just because Blade can do a lot of damage. First of all, in a very few hits, he places bleeds on opponent with his parry, so I can just kind of parry, drop a level 1, place more bleeds on opponent, and basically just do the entire fight with as little hits as possible, dropping level 1s. And occasionally, when you have to, you can always regenerate, because Blade's regen is quite effective and quite strong. And yeah, it's quite an easy time with Blade. Blade will work quite well for a number of nodes and fights in this quest as well. Definitely a noteworthy option here. Starting off with spiked armor nodes, as we can see here, we have taken only like 10% damage versus dealt 43% damage to the Storge Foster. And any damage Blade does take, he can always heal back up later, so long as he is below 70% of the health. But yeah, super easy. And now second kind of important thing you will have to deal with will be Safeguard. Safeguard is probably arguably the most annoying one, just because it's nothing really that is impossible to deal with any champion. The fights are simply going to take longer. However, you do benefit from using either defensive ability accuracy reduction champions or champions that deal damage over time. It's as simple as that, because your maximum amount of damage you can deal per hit is capped at 1% of opponent's health. However, no damage is capped when it comes to damage over time effects. And that works perfect. For instance, like Hyperion, Abomination's Poison Immune, just spam your level once, you don't need to worry about damage cap, and he's gonna be slowly but surely ticking away. And there is not much to it. Champions that do rely on kind of like burst damage in like special 2 or like some, I don't know, big heavy attack or big special 3s obviously will not work well here, but any champion technically does work. The fights will simply take a bit longer. Another fantastic option for Safeguard though is Gwenpool, and now Gwenpool combines two of the most predominant ways to deal with this Safeguard. First is she has a lot of damage over time bleeds, that definitely does help. Second of all, she can also bypass defensive ability accuracy, and that means she can basically ignore Safeguard altogether. The higher hit count you have on your combo meter, the higher chance you have to bypass the Safeguard node. Once you get to 50, Safeguard node will never be an issue again, pretty much. And we're gonna test it right out here. We are at 35 hits. Rocket Raccoon is at 37% of his health. And we can see that he goes down 35, 31, so he dealt 6% of Rocket's max health, so we successfully bypassed Safeguard. There are plenty other champions in the game who can use defensive ability accuracy reduction to completely ignore this Safeguard node. And yeah, as I mentioned before, Safeguard is more of an annoyance rather than a roadblock. But let's moving on to the next matchup. Next is going to be Archangel. Archangel, first of all, does a lot of damage over time. And second of all, also has ability accuracy reduction. So it's no surprise that we feature him on this node once again. We have a maxed out 4-star that is still perfectly kind of viable for this content, because that is when Road to the Labyrinth was released. Road to the Labyrinth came out when pretty much all of the players only had maxed out 4-star champions, a couple of rank 3 5-star champions, and maybe one rank 4 5-star champion, and that's it. So that is the exact power level this content is meant to be played in. You do not need to wait for 5 stars to be rank 4 or anything of the sort. You just need maxed out 4 stars, rank 3 5 stars, and you're going to be doing perfectly fine. And last option I'm going to mention for Safeguard is simply going to be Quake. Quake once again bypasses Safeguard because of her concussion. It reduces opponent's ability accuracy by 100%, and once again she comes through as a fantastic option for a lot of trickier matchups. As we can see here, we deal vastly more than 1% of opponent's health per tick with Quake, so it's a super kind of like simple and effective solution for Safeguard nodes. And yeah, I think that will do about for Safeguard. And last node that we have to deal with is Spite. Spite is arguably the more annoying node, I suppose, especially when they put it together with like All or Nothing and a few other annoying matchups. However, for those of you who do not know the way Spite works, whenever you have a buff active on you, opponent gets a power gain. And it's as simple as that. Get rid of your buffs or don't have any buffs, and then there is basically no Spite active. However, it's often easier said than done, just because dexterity does place a buff on you, and sometimes opponents just get very stingy when it comes to throwing your special attacks. Therefore, bringing in power control champions will often be the best strategy, definitely when it's going to come down to dealing with opponents who have All or Nothing node on them as well. So Magic is definitely kind of like one of your go-to champions, especially for like this Iron Patriot, for instance, which is like the first fight of the quest, but it also has All or Nothing, so it's one of the fights you have to have an answer for. Magic is pretty much a perfect answer. With or without Mystic Dispersion, you can use her. You just need to get to your first level 2, and the rest of the fight is going to be pretty much under control. You will always have power, and you will always be able to power lock and power drain the opponent, and that's about it. You just need to stay consistent and don't mess up. Now, when it comes to dealing with most of the opponents, you can just use any champion, really. You just need to be careful when you're dexing, when you're not dexing, kind of like always try and start bait out opponents' special attacks when they are at 1 bar power. And for a lot of these matchups, literally any champion will work, especially if they do not have any buffs on them, like inherently in their abilities. Like Wasp, for instance. Wasp has no power control there. She does have access to Petrify, which is not the easiest thing to pull off, but as such, we're going to see no power control effects in this fight. However, Wasp is still perfectly capable with dealing with a lot of these matches here, just because you play carefully, you don't push opponents kind of like past 2 bars of power, you don't leave baiting out special attacks to the last moment, you do play carefully when it comes to triggering dexterity on yourself. Quite often you parry instead of trying to evade an incoming dash, so on and so forth. So the way to play around Spite is basically just play around Spite and you don't use champions that do have some buffs on them by default. However, if you do still need some extra help, outside of power control, there's always an option available to taunt your opponent. There aren't too many champions in the game that do place taunt. However, I do know that one of the subscriber favorites, not mine though, is Stark SpiderMan, and Stark SpiderMan will do just great for Spite node as well, just because you do have that emergency power control on your heavy attack should you need to use it, and also you have taunts, and taunts will help you baiting out opponents' special attacks, and you will have fairly easy time when it comes to dealing with Spite and several matchups in this quest using Stark Enhanced SpiderMan. Another thing with Stark Enhanced SpiderMan, it kind of becomes easier to use him when you have Spite, because you can continuously try and gain your poise charges, and as you do so, opponent's gonna fill power bars because you will have dexterity active, and that means they will throw their special attacks, and it basically becomes easier to maintain your poises to a max or near max level. And yeah, it's a quite simple fight with Stark Enhanced SpiderMan. Get your level 2, drop that level 2, have some big crits, have some damage over time, so on and so forth, and he will definitely be working out fantastic for you if you are comfortable playing this character. And last champion I'm going to be showcasing in today's video is going to be Vision, just because Vision is still one of the GOATs when it comes to dealing with power control, and it highly depends on your ability to play with Vision to how effective he will be, but it is definitely worth to keep in mind. Any champions in today's video are just suggestions. I'm not saying they are the best Alpha Omega or the only champions that you should be using there. I'm saying these champions work for these nodes. There are many others who do as well, but this video is already going to be hugely long compared to like an average video. Therefore, I cannot possibly even try to mention all of them, but it is for you to kind of like figure out yourself that when it comes to dealing with spiked armor, you want to crit less, you want to bypass defensive ability accuracy, or you want to feed on their buffs. When it comes to dealing with safeguard, you want to either try and ignore it or try and play around it with your damage over time debuffs. When it comes to spite, it really kind of depends on matchups. Having power control helps, it's not necessarily a must though. However, now let's go through quest by quest, and I'm going to be talking about all of the matchups in each quest and mentioning the hardest ones. So quest number 1, all nodes have spiked armor, 300% health, 100% attack and health boost. And fight number 1 is Black Panther Civil War, stun immune, thank you very much, that actually helps that fight. Aside from spiked armor, it has nothing special. Then Magneto, unblockable special attacks can be quite annoying, possibly want to consider a power control champion if you struggle evading Magneto special attacks. Vision, power level start 2, enhanced level 2, super easy fight, nothing difficult there, just bait out the first special attack and you're good. Black Bolt, unblockable level 2, well, don't push him to level 2 and you're pretty much fine. Lady Thor, power gain 200%, somewhat annoying, power control champion, Quake, maybe Blade, but other than that, the fight's quite easy and you kind of prefer to bait out level 2 anyways, so it doesn't really need any special matchups either. And then you have Venom Pool, nothing too tricky there. And the last fight before boss is SpiderMan, but it does not have Limber active, so you can just parry him and hit him while he's stunned. And same goes for Nightcrawler. If you struggle switching him, just parry him and hit him while he's under stun. So there's nothing too kind of annoying in first quest. And let's move on to the quest number 2. Now, quest number 2, all nodes have safeguard on it, so it's just fairly annoying, nothing special there. First fight, Abomination, you want somebody that's poison immune. A Rocket, unblockable, special 1, and nothing special there, super easy. Black Widow, stun immune, also nothing too tricky. Just be careful of that evade, I suppose. Old Man Logan, nothing special. Electro, unblockable special attacks. Take something that deals with Electro well. So yeah, have somebody that reduces defensive ability accuracy, which is something you want to do anyways for safeguard. Juggernaut, unblockable level 1 and 2. Power control champion. Aside from that, it's nothing tricky over there. We all know what to do with Juggernaut. Groot, stun immune, nothing too tricky. Thanos is fairly easy boss as well to deal with. So yeah, super easy. And then moving on to quest number 3, all the fights have Spite on, so that is slightly a bit more annoying. Iron Patriot has power stat 1, all or nothing, definitely 100% needs some power control options over there. Drax, True Strike, Strike Back, nothing special. Moon Knight, unblockable, special 1 bias, also nothing kind of too tricky. Doctor Strange, stun immune, all or nothing, so once again you have to have power control over there. Magic or Vision or Hawkeye or what have you. Cyclops, blue team, power gain, 150% combo shield, and obviously Spite can be quite tricky matchup. Power control can help you out, but it's not necessarily essential. Symbiote, Spidey, stun immune, buff duration, and Spite is an annoying fight. You do need to find best answers you possibly can for that one. That is a fight that will catch you, that it is hard to wait out his away charge, so ideally something that is good against evaders and does not have any generic buffs, because you still have to deal with that Spite. That is probably one of the trickier fights in there. Despite the looks, Doctor Strange, all or nothing, and Spite is not that bad compared to that symbiote Spidey. And a Red Hulk as well is much more annoying than he seems. He doesn't seem to be having much in terms of problem nodes, but he's super tanky and the AI often refuses to throw special attacks. So yeah, beware of that fight. I get caught in there more often than I would like to admit. And then Thanos, once again, Thanos doesn't have anything too special going for him. And let's move on to the quest number 5. Never mind, my bad, this is quest number 4, and quest number 4, every single fight once again has spiked armor, so we kind of like made a full circle. So first fight, spiked armor, Kamala Khan, Outlast, Enhanced Fury, nothing special there whatsoever. Punisher and Starburst is an annoying fight. You do need to count on some health loss, because regen won't really be able to offset that Starburst in most cases. Gladiator Hulk is a perfect option for this fight. Other than that, you just want some really high damage output champions and just chip him down as quickly as possible. For most rosters, this will be a fight where you just want to kind of throw away a champion and dish out as much damage as you can before finishing him off. Aside from Gladiator Hulk, we don't really have all that good options versus Starburst. Then moving on, a Mystic Ward, Enhanced Armor Up on Symbiote Superior Iron Man. Yeah, that's Superior Iron Man. Nothing special there. War Machine, once again, just annoying block damage, but not a problem fight there whatsoever. Scarlet Witch, now she has unblockable special 1, but the problem is poison damage, so you ideally do want somebody that is poison immune against that Scarlet Witch. Yellow Jacket, unblockable special 1, nothing too tricky, keep the 4-hit combos and you'll be good. Wolverine, stun immune, all or nothing, plus spiked armor is a problem fight, so you need to have some sort of answer in terms of power control, plus you will be eating some damage. However, if you manage to keep Wolverine's power low, which is the goal, not to get hit by all or nothing, then he also will not regenerate much and you should be fine. But it is definitely one of the fights that do need answers, like Quake or Magic or something. But yeah, quite often in that fight, you might just want to select to lose some health to spiked armor in order not to hit level 3 from Wolverine and just go with any power control champion. Thanos boss with kinetic reactor and whatever is not too annoying. They are quite easy to deal with, especially if you have faced them before. And now quest number 5. Luckily, arguably the hardest fight in the quest is the first one, which is Rhino, who is 100% immune to everything and also has safeguard. Every single fight in this quest has safeguard on it. So that basically just means it's going to be a long fight pretty much no matter what you use, because he's immune, he can't be dealt with damage over time effects, so on and so forth. So champions like Star-Lord is good because you can just amp up every hit, and that means every hit is going to be hitting the safeguard limit. But all in all, it's just a fight where you have to pull yourself together, fight well, and get past this guy. You can get past the damage cap with ability accuracy reduction champions, but quite often it's just one of those fights where you have to fight well, because Rhino will be a tricky opponent. He doesn't have any particularly great matchups against that guy. Now Guillotine, unblockable level 2, start with 2 bars, super easy, no problems. Once again, damage over time champions to get past safeguard, you're good. Superior and Iron Man, Mystic Ward, who cares? Venom, again, who kind of cares? Nothing too tricky there. Daredevil, Netflix, 100% Raider, sense, whatever, still easy. Storm, unblockable level 2, who cares? Another fairly tricky fight is Ultron, that's stun immune, has 200% power gain, so he might be a bit tricky. However, we have like Medusas, we have Nebulas, we have champions that deal with robots, shut down their abilities, so on and so forth. So taking a robot counter or somebody that counters power gain well, and you will be good. The Nightcrawler boss, once again, none of these Nightcrawlers are stun immune, so they are quite easy. Just parry them and hit them while they're stunned in case you do not switch them. And that is it. So far so good. Now quest number 6 does not have a global buff. Each fight needs to be looked at separately. Superior Iron Man has spiked armor, Mystic Ward, enhanced armor up, so nothing too tricky there. Take somebody that deals with spiked armor and you're good. Abomination on safeguard, once again we went over it. Hyperion is perfect. Any champion can deal with safeguard, just make sure you have somebody that is poison immune. Cyclops, spiked combo shield, slightly annoying fight. It depends if you can evade Cyclops is level 1 well, but take in Magic or any power control champion and you shouldn't have to. Rocket Raccoon, safeguard and enhanced special attacks, super easy. Venom Pool, spite and stun immunity can be somewhat annoying, but is not the worst fight overall. 6th fight, Black Panther Civil War, once again stun immune. Thank you so much, Kebam. It makes that fight so much easier and not too difficult to deal with. I don't know who thought putting Black Panther, Civil War, and stun immunes is somehow supposed to be helping them. I don't know, whatever. It's still easy. Black Panther, Civil War. Can't stand, can't parry by accident. Nothing to worry about. So then moving on, we have Scarlet Witch. Which again, you want to have a poison immune character to deal with that Scarlet Witch. And aside from that, not too difficult of a fight. And final boss is fully immune kinetic reactor Thanos. It is going to be a quite long fight for vast majority of the champions, but there is nothing inherently hard about it. Just need to be focused and play it. And I hope this video has helped you. I have done and given as much information as I possibly can to you guys, and went over through the main points, I suppose. If there are any questions for you guys, let me know in comment section below. I will do my best to answer them. Also, this full list of all the nodes that are in Road to the Labyrinth is available on Reddit. I will leave a link in channel description below this video. But aside from that, once again, if there are any questions left unanswered, let me know. I did my best to kind of give counters for fights and go through whatever you will be facing. But that's me done mumbling for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.